Well, hello there, audience. How you been? Good? All right, good. I've been doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Well, there were a few things sort of been brought to my attention, and I thought I'm going to make another video. Um, there's few things that I see people are stuck with, and as with all things we're stuck with, are beliefs. And what are beliefs? Is the knowledge about your psyche. All knowledge about your psyche is crap. Let me explain why. Um, First of all, I want to say something that there are no wounds, only desires. There are no wounds, only desires. When we look at the desire as a wound, we use our brain to figure out the solution to it. And so that creates the knowledge about the psyche. It creates the internal knowledge. And this type of knowledge, all knowledge in this direction, is a belief and therefore root of all suffering. The fruit from the tree of knowledge. You see, and the Bible says that all your problems is because of knowledge. Knowledge about your psyche. Knowledge is supposed to be used about the things. The right knowledge is skill. Okay? It's a skill. You're supposed to use your brain for a skill, not creating the internal policies about other people and, living beings. Okay? And I really want to stress this, that if you are accumulating knowledge on YouTube watching videos, you're going in the wrong direction. All this accumulated knowledge, I promise you, is going to have to be burned. And you're going to have to start with knowing nothing. And in that knowing absolutely nothing, you can finally be with what is. Okay? And when you finally are with what is, you get to feel what's there. You get to feel the thing that is there that you've been running away from, calling it wound or hurt or pain. But it's nothing more but a desire that needs your attention and awareness. You gotta place your attention and awareness there. That's all. Okay? So this is why, like, if you are learning about wisdom, you are on a path of the villain. All knowledge about wisdom is a villainhood. Wisdom does not require to be learned. You learn with your brain. That's learning. That's what I would separate those words. You learn with your brain, that's learning, right? And so you learn through trial and error and figure out what works, what doesn't. That's learning. But what we're talking about here is growing. It's not learning. Every time there's this distortion that you may call wound, which is just a desire, every time you fulfill it, meaning facing it fully, alchemize it, you discover a new you. You discover a new you. And that new you is living the fulfillment of that desire. And so you grow a little bit. And so now you changed your reality, um, and you're living a reality where that desire is being fulfilled. You see? And that's all they are. They're just desires. Think about it, like even if like a deepest desire would be like, wanting to feel loved or wanting to be loved. Let's just say that's a pretty big one. Very strong desire. And you can fulfill it by giving attention and finding that desire inside you. Then you discover a new you, basically in a new heart, that brings even a new mind too. But the thing is that the body takes time. It takes time to adapt to new you, right? This is why there's this um, process of there's a part of you that's dying, the old heart is dying, and new heart is being born. Boom. And that's the only way. And with that new heart already contains all the wisdom. That wisdom is already there. So all the knowledge that you've gained about wisdom was pointless, and it was in the wrong direction, and it was preventing you to see it directly. This is why, you know, you can say, well, what I'm communicating isn't that knowledge, uh, and it should be a map, a compass. That's what it should be. The um, if you, after watching this video, are continue, acquiring knowledge, watching more and more videos rather than just facing what is, no matter how much you're afraid of it, then it's pointless and it's useless. Maybe you have some entertainment value out of this. But if you drop all the knowledge, and this is where, like, the more knowledgeable you are about the spiritual world, the harder you fall. And this is why spiritually knowledgeable people are scared of me. Um, because I make their egos obsolete. But the good news is that that dynamic between, I am the wounded healer, like they really actually creating a therapy for themselves. They do retreats, they teach people, but they really need that because that's their therapy. And they really just validating themselves, that validating their ego, that their knowledge is useful, but it's not. It's producing more of the same. Okay. Um. So that's what I have to say about this. Like we have these learning is absolutely great, and you always have to be learning something because your brain wants to learn something. But it might be like singing, dancing, programming, whatever. But that's what you have to use your brain for, not accumulating knowledge about wisdom or spirit. That's ridiculous. You are that wisdom. You are that spirit. You gotta discover it. You gotta draw from within, not put from the outside. Knowledge is something that you put from the outside, but you don't want to put the knowledge inside your heart, which is supposed to be alive. Knowledge is always limited and static. You don't want to put that in your heart, and that's what you do when you know create that. And and really, there is learning and there is growing. And sometimes people say like self-improvement, right? Self-improvement, you cannot improve self, but you can get a new one by dissolving the old one. You can get the new self. And new self already comes in with all the wisdom that you need for that level of the game, fulfill that desire. Okay, so you can never improve yourself, but you can get a new self. And literally, I'm not. It's you get a new self with a new memory, with more wisdom and stuff like that. It's not the same. You are not the same. Um, you know, you're not the same person. Um, really, genuinely, not because you learn something and now like you think differently or whatever. No, it's because you actually are, and you cannot go back there anymore. So, so we have the soul, which can only grow. It cannot learn anything. It can grow. We also have the mind, which can be used to create. And then we have the body, which is used for learning and playing. Okay? So so when you try to improve yourself because you have that pain inside of you and you think that there's something's missing inside of you, and you try to compensate, and that feeling inside you says like, well, you're not worthy or whatever, and so you try to gain knowledge to be worthy, but in the process of doing that, you actually go backwards, and you still feel unworthy, except now that you have all this knowledge to defend yourself from feeling that feeling. So now you got to dismantle all this knowledge, the self-protected knowledge, and then go and feel it. um okay, and that's how the soul will grow. You will feel whatever that pain is asking for your attention. You'll feel it, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a process. It's a tough process. um but you gotta go through it if you want to grow, because eventually all these things from the outside that you used to pacify will stop working, and you're gonna have to. But so yeah, you see, it's like you face whatever that is. You process everything through you, and you grow up. You can grow up. Okay, and then with that new heart, you'll have a new mind. It'll be more creative. It will be more spontaneous. It will be all sorts of things. Now you can create something with your imagination, something new, and only this new heart can create something new, better, and improved. Okay, and then of course the brain will have to keep up with it, because brain may take some time, right? Now that you have a new hardware and then you have a new operating system, all your programs need to be reinstalled. So um, after this transition, you may experience that like you gotta learn everything from scratch again. um, and you do feel sometimes like a newborn baby. You gotta learn everything from scratch. Well, what do I mean by saying that? Learn everything from scratch. I mean, The skills that you had before may turn out to be kind of, you know, the skills that you learned before may turn out to be not serving you anymore, and you're gonna have to learn new skills, and even like new way of being too, because you have a different type of energy, and so there's different types of motivations. So the brain takes time to adapt to it. Okay, this is why sometimes after that transition you may feel a bit like spaced out. It's normal, um, but eventually, little by little, you get uh, a new brain and you condition yourself differently. Okay, hopefully that helps. In the summary, there is no wounds, only desires. There is no traumas. There is no healing, only fulfilling your desires. That's all there is. You're not damaged. You don't need to heal. You just want to fulfill your desires. That's all. And the way you fulfill them is by going to that strong desire, whatever that may be, and feeling all the way through it. And you'll feel fulfillment behind that desire. And that's the beginning. Okay? Told you have to, you know. Yes, it is a type of death and rebirth process, but that's the only way you can grow. So yeah. There's something else I want to say. Yeah, there's no wounds, only desires. And life is basic, you know. Like, like you don't need any more knowledge than this. If you um, you need a map, of course. If we all need a map, for example, maybe a little bit encouragement. You know, the word courage, encourage, coraje in Espanol is heart. That's what it's all at. That's where it's all the answers lie. So you have to discover your own wisdom and your own love. Um, and maybe some people say they're afraid of, and they say like, well, um, why should I voluntarily uh, face that thing that is so unpleasant? Um, but and so maybe that's why like nobody wants to look at it because it's unpleasant. But the reality is that it's only unpleasant at the beginning when your brain is interpreting it as anything. But once you're completely there and completely faced with the full attention, all your attention on this thing that hurts, that thing stops hurting. And then it changes and starts feeling really good. Because you see, like, your brain is always looking for the next and saying, like, well, when is the pain is going to stop? When's the pain is going to stop? But when the brain is quiet and poof, the energy is still the same, But now, because you're not waiting for the next, that energy is, you are an infinite, and you're not waiting for the next anymore. And you're right here, right now, and that energy that was painful turns out to be bliss, or any kind of degree of uh, fulfillment of the desire. And so maybe if you know that there's many paths, and whichever way you path you go, there's all suffering, and you see like, I feel trapped. Like, what is the answer? That's the answer. That in fact, like, all things away from that pain is suffering, and a path to that pain or pressure is a way out and release. And that's the only way. That's the only way. And and as you can see, it's not about learning anything. It's not about going on the retreats. It's not watching these videos and following something, and asking for us like a bit of a pacifier. It's actually looks more like spending some time in solitude and facing what is. It may not look pretty at first because there would be like a lot of feeling, a lot of whatever is there, to feel. Uh, but you discover so. I just want to encourage you to say that you discover so much love and wisdom behind it, that most of the feelings and most of the crying and sobbing is about that. It's not about like you being victim. It's about like, holy shit. Um, start seeing everything for what it is, and that even the people who hated you, you learn that they hated the fact how much they love you. I'm spilling the beans too much here, but anyway, just go there and you'll find it for yourself. Okay. All right, have fun. See you in the next one.